All right, guys, so here it is. Here's the document that will give you step-by-step instructions on how to build business credit. I'm going to run through it real quick. So step one, which is the most critical part of this process, is that you need to have the correct type of business identifiers. If you do not, you will run into issues. You will have problems. If you started your company years ago and you're just now starting to build business credit, you will have to go back after you get the proper business identifiers. You will have to go back and update that information with your Secretary of State, Dun & Bradstreet, and if you started any Net 30 accounts, you would have to update that information with them as well, or Experian Business or Equifax Business if you've started those files. So, business identifiers. Business identifiers are the public information that people see about your company. So, starting with your main telephone number. So, you want to get a business telephone number that is going to sound professional, is going to route calls to your cell phone the proper way, and is going to look, is basically going to make you look and sound like a Fortune 500 company. Because building business credit, perception is everything. Okay, let me show you what you need to have in place. Alright, so this is a demo for this company. Look, so this is what your company should sound like.
Thank you for calling Premier Services. Our office hours are from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Gracias por llamar a Servicios de Primera.
Now that's professional.
If you know the extension of the party you are trying to reach, you may dial it at any time. To speak with a live representative, press 1. For a dial by name directory, press 2.
And the way it's set up is if you hit the number 1, it comes out to your cell phone and it identifies what option the person pressed on your key, on the auto attendant, which is a great feature, and I haven't seen that with any of these other companies. And their music on hold is.
Thank you for holding.
That's professional.
Your call is very important to us. Someone will be with you in just a moment.
Now that's what you want out the gate, and I mean even for their base price, that's what you get. None of those other companies are offering you that. They're making you pay this money every single month, and you don't even understand how to set your system up. So this is the reason why I recommend Turncom 360. As far as the website, you can use Wix, you can use Squarespace. If it's an e-commerce site, you can use Shopify. But here's the thing that you want to. There are a few things about building when you have a website, things that you need to be aware of. One of the things is you want to make sure that the site is complete, because when they do a search for your company and they pull up your website, they're going to click the links on the website, and everything needs to go to something. It needs to go to a contact form, or it needs to give them some type of message. You don't want to have it incomplete, because if you do, they're going to frown upon it, and you probably will not get approved for business credit. And that's even for your Net 30 accounts. They do that. The underwriting team, that's what they do now. They go out and they look at this information. The other thing is your business email. You need to be using a business email that has your domain name. Okay? No Hotmail, no Gmail, no Outlook. It needs to say your first and last name at yourdomain.com. It's very, very important. And last but not least is the business address. You can use a virtual address. You just need to make sure it's Google verifiable. What do I mean by that? You want to make sure that if you already have a brick and mortar, you're golden. Okay? But if you're using a virtual address, here's what you need to do about any company that you're going to use. You want to go to Google and you want to Google that address. And here's what you want to see when you Google that address. I'm just going to let me pick, let's do IC2 search on IC2. You see this here? This is what they're looking at. You want this to populate with a commercial address. Something that looks like a commercial address. You do not want to use a UPS store. You don't want to use a mailbox, etc. store, or anything else that's going to get you flagged. You want to use you can use a co-working space, right? Because a lot of co-working spaces offer virtual mailing services, and by law, you can rent office space inside of a co-working space, and you could really work there every day. So you can use that as a valid mailing address. So those are your business identifiers in a nutshell. Read through this section. This is very important. If you don't read through anything else, read through this first step, because it's everything that you need to have in place before you start this journey. Okay, and then we go into step 2, which is building the business structure, which is LLC versus a sole proprietorship. Most of you already know you want to form an LLC. Why? Because it's a separate entity. When you're using a sole proprietorship, you're using your social security number out the gate, and you are held responsible for everything. But with an LLC, it's a separate entity, and it's going to take you a lot further with business credit. And if you are C Corp, S Corp, my advice, if you're not making over $40,000 a year with your company, you might want to just consider using just an LLC. Also, if you're starting out and you're building the LLC for the first time, you need to be aware that there are high risk industries such as restaurants, real estate agencies. The list is right here. So it's not that you wouldn't get business credit, it's just going to be harder for you to get business credit. Okay, and these are the restricted industries: bail bondsmen, check cashing agencies. They're not extended credit, so you need to just be aware of that. So step three is where you can register your new entity. So you can do it yourself, or you can hire companies like LegalZoom, Rocket Lawyer to do it for you. I also give you links here. You can go to your Secretary of State. I'm going to pick the state of North Carolina. You come here, and it says starting a new business. They got a little wizard you can go through, and it kind of walks you through what you need to do to set your company up. Step 4, you want to acquire your EIN, which is very simple. You click on the icon. It's going to say apply for a new EIN number. Boom, there you go. You can fill out the paperwork and get your new EIN established. And then step 5, get your DUNS number. You click this. You go to Dun & Bradstreet. From here, when you put in your information here on Dun & Bradstreet, they're going to go out to the Secretary of State and pull in your information. And that's how they give you your DUNS number. Then step 6, you can open a bank account. You don't have to do it. It's kind of optional when you're first starting out. But my advice is, if you can get one, get one. And here are some of the companies that are friendly to startups, entrepreneurs, people that are starting businesses for the first time. Navy Federal, Chase, and U.S. Bank. And then I go into how trade works, trying to briefly explain that. The other thing that's not in this document that you can be aware of that you can do, you can get a secured business card. Some of them do report to the credit agencies. You might want to look into that. Now, the things you must know before you apply, very important. One of those things is you want to list that main telephone number with listyourself.com. That's the 411 directory. So when you dial 411 and you ask for a business, this is the directory that you go to here. And this is, you click more information. They're going to ask you about your company, and then you can just fill out information in. And I think it takes about a week or so. And after that, you're inside the database. You want to do Google My Business. You click this link. It's going to take you to Google. You fill out the information about your company. The same thing with Bing, Yelp, Manta. You want to do that. The other thing is you want to freeze your personal credit. You want to freeze your personal credit. Reason being, because of the Patriot Act, they require anyone that fills out an application to put their social security number. So it's not to say that the application that you're filling out is going to always pull a personal credit check, but some of them do, right? And the language is kind of confusing on the applications, and you might check a box or leave a box unchecked, and they go and they pull your personal credit, and you take a hit on your personal credit. You don't want that. So what you want to do is you want to freeze your personal credit. You can do that by either dialing these numbers here, dialing these 800 numbers here, and going through the prompts, and you can freeze your credit that way. You can download their apps. They have apps that you can download where you can freeze your personal credit. And after that is one of the other steps that you need to be aware of. You can do NAV. A lot of people do NAV, and what NAV does, it's like the Credit Karma for business, right? It's going to always show you what your DUNS score is, your Experian score, your Equifax score, and your overall score. They also have a boost service where the boost service reports every single month to the credit bureaus. So it's just another Net 30 account that you can add to your portfolio. Step 7, start to apply. Because you've done everything you need to do. At this point, you can start to apply for business credit. So here are a few companies you can go to just start the process. And after that, and after you establish a few Net 30 accounts, you can move on to Tier 2, which are some of these accounts, so on and so forth. Right? And then this is Step 3, Step 4, Step 5. This is where you get automobiles and all the good stuff. But anyway, the PDF is there for you guys, so you have this information to help you navigate the process.